few faces today. We've got Justine from Two in the Sun, a wonderful jewellery business, and we've got Phoebe and Bree here. So Phoebe and Bree are Ocean Youth alumni. They did Ocean Youth last year up in Auckland. So we do it all across Australia and New Zealand, and we are expanding to internationally outside of Australia and New Zealand. But for now, we've got Phoebe and Bree from Auckland, and they've got an incredible product that they made during Ocean Youth last year called, now I'm probably going to get the pronunciation wrong, girls, so please correct me, kaitiaki.
Yeah, that was it.
Yay! So there is essentially a reusable cup made from recyclable materials, right?
Yeah.
So I'll let the girls explain it more in depth. Obviously, this is their area of expertise. This is what they're working on. And the main point of today's webinar is just to get you thinking about what kind of products you can make if you want to go with a product kind of direction for your project. You don't have to do a product, but it's just to give you some ideas on the solution rather than focusing on the problem. We've already had a lot of webinars about the issues, but now we're going to think about how we can create a solution if you want to do that kind of thing. So we'll hand it over to the girls now.
Ooh, so we have a slideshow. I'll try and share my screen now. Hopefully that works out. Okay. Can everyone see that okay? Oh, I started at the beginning, at the end. Okay. So we're Kaitiaki, I'm Phoebe.
And I'm Bree.
And yeah, we'll start.
So basically we'll start off filling you in a bit on who we are. So all four of us, this is half of our original group here. We're a part of Ocean Youth last year in Auckland, as we've said, and we all have a massive passion for marine conservation and preserving Aotearoa's natural environment. So we made it our mission to try and make a difference, to inspire people in our community and people that find out about us to find solutions for issues facing our environment. And one way we've done that is creating our reusable coffee cups. And just through Kaitiaki, we hope to influence other Kiwis to be more environmental and create a greener country for others.
Try and skip my slide, there we go. So through Kaitiaki, our mission is to basically revolutionise the state of conservation in New Zealand. We hope that we can do this through new and inspiring practices. So we've worked on a lot of film and photography, and hopefully in the future we can do some interactive workshops to do this. So in New Zealand, we're an island nation, which basically means we're never further than like a long car drive to the sea. I think like an hour and a half is the farthest it gets pretty much. So we've all got a huge connection to the ocean, and we depend on it for everything. We depend on it for food, it's our playground, and our land as well, of course. So we aim to protect our ocean and our land by educating and inspiring other people about issues facing our environment, and tell them, you know, encourage them to think of some possible solutions to help us move forward and make a difference.
Yeah, so going off that, what inspired us to start our sustainability journey? All of us met through Ocean Youth, as we said before, and we all got really close through our shared passion for the environment. And as you all know, you have to come up with an initiative. So earlier that year, I thought of creating a social media account to get people involved in conservation. So we all merged all our ideas together and created Kaitiaki. And we found that Ocean Youth was super beneficial for our journey because we had Emma at the Auckland Ocean Youth, and she helped us find really good resources for creating our product. And we've been able to channel the knowledge that we learned through Ocean Youth into starting our own initiative. And so then we created Kaitiaki, which we wanted to be a community full of like-minded people to work together and help create a better and more sustainable Aotearoa, which we feel like we've achieved or on our way to achieving. And this is our video we made for our presentation at the end of the year last year, just explaining a bit about who we are, what makes us care about the environment, and some solutions you can apply yourself. You may need to open it onto YouTube, Phoebe, for the sound to work.
not sure how I can do that. Maybe. Oh,
Yeah.
if I copy. Oh, no, maybe
Yeah,
not.
if you copy it and then pop it in a new browser, it might work. Don't worry, we've had this issue
Try
lots of
that.
times.
Yeah,
So
I've never
used to
tried
it.
to do this before. Hopefully that works.
Hey, I'm Brie. Hi, I'm Phoebe. Hi guys, I'm Holly. I created Kaitiaki because I've always had a passion for the environment and I wanted to create a group where myself and my friends can go out and try and make a difference.
I've always had a huge passion for the ocean because I've grown up with a family full of sailing and diving enthusiasts. So I'm glad to have found Kaitiaki as a way to help deal with some problems facing the ocean in a way that involves social media and our youth.
I joined Kaitiaki because I really like the ocean and the environment and I was looking for a way to somehow care for it, and this is the perfect way to be with my friends a lot of the time and work together to create something cool like this and be able to help the
My favorite part about this year was probably creating the reusable coffee cups. It was really fun to create with myself and everyone else in the group and to work with Ideal Cup New Zealand because they were pretty cool. And I like to see how our friends and family got to incorporate the cups into their life and make a difference.
My favourite moment of this year was launching our website. I feel like this was when Kaitiaki really began. I'm so glad to have had this opportunity to spread awareness about the many things we at Kaitiaki are passionate about.
My favourite part about this year has probably been when we were coming back from a day with sea cleaners and a pod of dolphins swam up to our boat, and it was like a great surprise after a day of cleaning, and it was a great end to the day.
Something I learned this year that really shocked me was probably the fact that receipts actually aren't biodegradable. I work at a supermarket, so we use at least 4 till rolls a day each checkout, and going out and doing beach cleanups and seeing the amount that's washing up on our beaches and just the amount of rubbish that's in our local areas is something that's really shocked me this year, and it's something that's really motivated me to continue doing Kaitiaki after Ocean Youth and to try and make a difference in our community.
Something that I've learnt this year is how much rubbish really is in New Zealand, and I think a lot of us thought that because it's such a green country that we didn't have that much rubbish, but I think a lot of us came to the realisation that our country isn't as clean as we think it is on the day that we spent with sea cleaners.
This year I've been so inspired by everyone at Kelly Toutons. The work that they put into not only keeping this an eye-opening place, but also all of the behind the scenes in rehabilitating marine animals and keeping them healthy is very admirable.
A tip I would give you to help you live a more sustainable life is to bring a reusable water bottle with you wherever you go. It's good for the environment, it helps to reduce waste, the water tastes 10 times better, and it stops you from all that unnecessary spending.
I think that one way we can all start to be a bit more sustainable is by aiming to completely cut out just one form of single-use plastic from our lives. Whether it's replacing Glad wrap with beeswax wraps or Ziploc bags with containers, changing just one small thing at a time can make a huge difference.
step to just be a bit more sustainable, I think, would be slowly change out your shampoos and your soaps from bottles and start buying the bars, because they are cheaper than you think, and you go through so much less waste because all you're buying is the bar and possibly the paper bag that it comes in, and you're saving so many fish and so many turtles by not using as much plastic.
So hopefully that worked okay and gave you a little more insight into what we've been doing. And on that, we have a bit about the process of starting Kaitiaki. So like Bree said, it began as an idea that she came up with before any of us started Ocean Youth. And then when the four of us teamed up to work on an initiative, we thought that it would be the perfect opportunity to make her idea become a reality. So we began by starting up our Instagram page and our website to gain more of an audience. And then after that, we teamed up with Ideal Cup, which is an awesome New Zealand organisation that helped us create our own reusable coffee cups, which you would have seen in that video. And we sold those through our website. We then decided to donate the profits from our cups to an organisation called Project Blue, which is another really cool group. And they're basically aiming to improve the state of New Zealand's environment and, whoops, does that sometimes, and document their journey along the way. I can get rid of this. Might just have to deal with that. I don't know why. I'm sorry. Try that. Yeah, and then after that, we basically got more ambassadors involved to grow our team, and we continued our social media presence and that sort of thing. Yeah.
Yeah, so all of us, I knew Phoebe and Holly previously to Ocean Youth, and all of us found out about it through Facebook or sending the message on to each other. And we all wanted to join Ocean Youth because, as we said before, in New Zealand, it's kind of hard to be disconnected from the ocean and to see the issues within it because we're all so close to it. And especially where we go to school, we're like a 10-minute walk from the beach. So because of this, we've spent so much of our childhoods enjoying the marine environment. And I'm sure as all you feel, doing that just makes you want to protect it more and more because you want other people to appreciate it as you have. So we joined Ocean Youth at the beginning of last year, and we were super excited about it because it's a way to feel like you're making a tangible difference and you can actually feel like you're going out and improving the world through it.
So some of our best experiences with Ocean Youth last year were the workshops and things that came in to teach us about what they were doing and why. So some of these organisations were Sustainable Coastlines and Sea Cleaners, and a bunch more different groups and individuals that our coordinator organised for us. And we always found these days so eye-opening to the importance of ocean conservation, and that just played a huge role in inspiring us to do something about it too. And another really great highlight from Ocean Youth last year was a turtle release trip that we got to go on. So we were lucky enough to spend the day at the Poor Knights Islands with Kelly Tautons and experience them releasing 3 of their rehabilitated turtles back into the ocean. This was such a unique experience and one that we were so grateful to be a part of. So Bree also put together a video on this one. We'll get that to work. I always find it hard to, maybe if I replace this one. There we go.
I'm in
as you can see, that was such a cool day and definitely a key highlight from last year. Sorry. We can get rid of that.
Yeah, so before we start off with this, I'd also just like to say that you guys should be so grateful for the experience you have with Ocean Youth, because obviously, as you've all seen, we got to experience some pretty like cool things last year. And I'm sure even with COVID this year, you guys have had some pretty cool experiences, and I'm sure next year you'll be super grateful for them. But we're going to share our top 3 tips for starting out, because I'm sure at this point you guys will have some sort of idea of what you want to do or may have already started. So these are what we found super helpful, like reflecting now. So the first one is find people with common interests. So this could be people within Ocean Youth or your friends or family. Because if you have a good idea and you share your passion with those around you, speaking to them or putting it out on social media, there's always going to be people that will share that passion with you and will want to create something with you. So I'd say just make sure you share it with as many people as you can, talk about it with people, reach out to people that you think would have similar interests, and you'll find that you can build it up a lot from there. And just by messaging people on social media that you think feel like share similar interests or like philosophies on like environmentalism and stuff, you can reach a lot more people. And I'd highly recommend it, because we've got to meet amazing people like in New Zealand in the environmental community just from sending them a little message on Instagram or something. So as long as you've got the passion for your project, everything else will pretty much fall into place.
And the second thing that we think is super important when starting an initiative or a group is to build really good relationships with the people in the industry that you're interested in being in. So we've found this has been super important, especially with Ideal Cup, who we worked with making our cups, because it's just helped us to make a greater impact on New Zealand's environment, and also to be able to reach more people and understand different people's perspectives that you wouldn't normally be able to get in touch with. So a great way to do this, like Bree said, is to follow like-minded people on social media, and of course reach out to them to show them that you're interested in what they're doing. And then if you want to collaborate with them, just absolutely flick them a message to let them know, because I'm sure they'd be keen. I know we definitely would be if it was us. And just make sure that the way you're presenting yourself is the way you'd like your brand or initiative to be viewed, because the first interaction with these groups is the basis of what your whole relationship with them will be like. So if you start off with a good first impression, you'll have a great relationship from then onwards.
Yeah, and our final point, which is super important, when we were speaking to Project Blue when we were first starting out, this is something Sav, who created Project Blue, really told us was super important, and we've found that it is for us as well. And that's to be original or have a focus point with your initiative or brand or whatever you're interested in creating. Because there's already so many people out there doing really cool things for the environment, and you want to have something that makes you stand out a little bit and make people stop and think like, I want to help this person out. So just try to be original with the way that you present it or what your idea is. Like for us, we focused on selling reusable coffee cups, and that set us apart from others, and the fact that we, rather than being a like charity doing work ourselves, we've gone about donating it to other conservation efforts that are already doing good things. So it's more putting like money into that community and energy into that community to like build it up from there. And another thing as well is don't feel locked into what you think your original focus point is, because as you grow and get more immersed in the community, you might find that you have like your views mature, or you get new experiences and you have something new you want to focus on. Like we will be focusing more on like a broader range of things moving forward. So just don't feel the need to be locked into what you originally wanted to do. And yeah, so just make sure that whatever you want to do, you're super passionate about it and stand out a bit with that.
And Kaitiaki is something that we hope to grow and develop into the future, especially next year. We've got a lot of big plans coming. So by January next year, we hope we would have released our documentary series, which is called Game Changers. And in that, each episode will sort of tell the story of a Kiwi individual or group that's also doing some really good stuff in their community or for New Zealand's environment. We also would like to hold more fundraisers to help raise funds for Project Blue, as well as Papakori and for our own workshops. And on that, we'd like to create a workshop program in which we incorporate Te Ao Māori and other conservation practices, as well as wellbeing coaches and all sorts of great groups just to help spread awareness about ocean conservation to help our future generations and communities.
Yeah, and we also came up with this little slide of recommended resources for you, because we found that it's always good to better yourself and find new things that you can educate yourself on about the environment. Just during this lockdown, because we're currently in lockdown in Auckland at the moment, but I've discovered Water People Tales of Light, and I've followed Earthrise Studio for a while. But the Water People podcast is really, really good and informative, and it's quite casual, so you don't really get bored listening to it. And I love it, yeah, which is good. I love it because there's so many different people that they get on that podcast, so you get a lot of variety of perspectives, and they're also very respectful to Indigenous practices, which is really important for us, especially within Aotearoa, with the Māori community. So if you're just sitting at home or on the way to school, which isn't really possible for most of us at the moment, but I really recommend you listening to that. And also the Tales by Light on Netflix. I watched it a few days ago, the episodes, I think it's 3 and 4 of season 2. It's a really, really powerful story, and it just makes you realize the impact us humans have on the environment, positive and negative. But like if we all put our resources into restoring life in abundance, that with like through putting solutions in place, we can actually make a huge difference. And then Earthrise Studio is just a great place for a variety of different resources. And it's a social media platform, and it's founded by some pretty cool people that are all huge advocates for justice across lots of platforms, but particularly environmental justice in the world. So if you guys wanted to find some new places to get inspiration from, these would be some really good places to start.
Yeah, and then I think we've got some question time if anyone's got any. So I'll stop sharing.
Amazing, Phoebe, Bree. That was so great. Thank you. Oh my gosh. Usually I have to ask our people, like, do you have any recommendations, guys? What are your tips? And you guys have thought about all that, which just shows you're thinking the way our other ambassadors are, which is just fantastic. I don't have to do too much background research now to send out all this information to our Ocean Youth ambassadors that haven't been able to make it today. But what you're doing is just sensational, isn't it, T?
Amazing. Now I do have a question. Bree, was it you who did all the videos and editing and stuff? Wow. Okay. How do you do that? Because that is a fantastic way to get your product across, or to get what you're doing across.
Your brand.
Yeah, your brand. So how did that come about? What are the processes for that?
Personally, for me, my grandpa got me into photography when I was maybe like 12. And so in the past, I think 3 years, I've become quite obsessed with like photography and videography. So I'll bring my camera with me on our little trips and stuff, and just grab little moments that I think would tell a good story or good visuals that will make people actually want to care about the environment. So I've just started bringing my camera along to lots of things. And if I feel like there's something that people would want to see or would help educate people, then I'll just grab a photo or get a video of it.
That's fantastic. Well done. But and your website is so professional. Like I can't get over how much thought has gone into this from your group. Well done, girls.
And don't worry, for our Ocean Youth ambassadors, I will link the website to a follow-up email with this, so you can check it out, because I've been looking at it. And you might notice me looking down while you guys were talking. I was writing notes. I'm that sort of nerdy person. It helps me. So I wasn't being rude. I was just writing that. I did have a couple of questions as well. If anyone else does too, pop them in the chat box down below. But one of my questions, oh, sorry.
Sorry, I'm just going to quickly run and get my laptop charger, but I will be back.
Oh, go, go. I wanted to know how you guys, if you know the answer, Phoebe, how you approached your cup manufacturer. What was the name of them again?
That's Ideal Cup New Zealand. So we went through a bit of a process looking at different organisations to use, because obviously there are quite a few out there. So we did our own research just on Google, nothing fancy. And I think we might have emailed a couple of people, but we really liked Ideal Cup because we could customise the colour scheme and we could put our own logo on there. So from there, we just emailed them an inquiry and got a quote on our first order. I think our first order was about 50 cups, so they were really keen to help out. And yeah, we've just kept going from then, and they've been so great in helping us do more. Yeah.
Amazing. And then if you can cover your costs, everything else then you decided to donate to, was it Project Blue?
Yeah, exactly.
And how did you guys decide to pick Project Blue?
Well, Project Blue was an organisation that Brie and I have been following for ages because, well, they're really into the same sort of thing that Brie's into, a lot of the video making sort of thing. So we thought it would be really cool to support an organisation that's already got the platform to make a change. And yeah, it's worked out really well.
And I think that's really interesting for our ambassadors down there. A lot of us, or a lot of you guys, were sitting back thinking, what can I start? Do I need to begin a charity? Do I need to have a new idea? Not at all. We're all a community here. And I know Justine will talk about being able to support another project as well. But we can support things that are already happening and initiatives and become ambassadors ourselves. And it might be by going out and doing cleanups, or it might be by creating something that means that you can give funds to that charity. But there are so many ways to be involved in this community. It's not about, remaking the wheel every single time, because it is all being done. Now, this might be a really stupid question, girls, but not being from New Zealand, I mean, Tiana is originally, but not being from New Zealand and not knowing much Maori and stuff, what does kaitiaki mean?
Kaitiaki means guardians. It's just like a general Māori term for guardians. And then our slogan on the website is Kaitiaki Oto Whenua, which is guardians of the land or just the planet.
Oh, beautiful. And I love that link as well, really thinking your product through from beginning and end, knowing your audience, knowing who you're wanting to reach, but also associating your language with exactly what you're doing as well, I think is really important. T, do you have any questions for these guys?
No, I'm blown away. I can't get over the fact that you did all this, well, most of it during Ocean Youth last year. It's incredible. Well done.
I think I'm pretty excited about the music you used and may have Shazammed the song that was going on during that video as well. Before we let you guys sit back and relax though and bring Justine up, I do have one more question, and it's a little different. You might be able to answer it. In New Zealand, there is a lot of passion for sustainability. Like you said, everyone's connected to the ocean. They can't really be disconnected because you're all within an hour of the ocean. Here in Victoria, it's not as much like that because we do have a lot of not seaside towns, and we have people that can live 6 or 7 hours from the ocean. So do you have any tips or tricks for our kids, I suppose, in thinking about reaching an audience that may not have any clue about the ocean?
I think there's such a huge platform online about ocean conservation sort of things, like all those resources that Brie mentioned in the last slide, we've found super helpful. Even though we've been close to the ocean and we've been able to experience it ourselves, it sort of gives a different perspective. So I think it would be almost just as effective as a way to, educate yourself about the ocean without actually being there.
And I think you guys made a really good point in your top 3 tips, saying the importance of social media these days and reaching out. I mean, poor Justine down here is only here because I reached out to her pretty much through social media as well. So it is a really important collaborative tool, and it's all there at the, ends of your fingers really, to start that community and put it on yourselves to just reach out and see if you can link up with somebody. So amazing, guys. I just want to say a huge thank you. That presentation was amazing. Don't worry about the tech issues. We have them all the time. Sit back and relax. You can stick around if you want. We're going to have a 2-minute break, everyone. So it's 10:36 now. If you can be back by 10:38, get a drink, go to the toilet. and we will chat to Justine in a minute. Thank you, Kaitiaki.
Thank you.
Yaki, that was
Thanks,
amazing.
guys. So exciting. I love it. I know a few people are probably sitting back still and listening, but I wrote down a ton of questions. I just can't read my own writing. So don't worry.
That was really impressive. I'm amazing. Very inspired by you. Well
Thank
done.
Yeah, I want to come to New Zealand and see
Yeah.
all the amazing work that you guys are doing over there. It's
Okay.
crazy.
Hopefully we can soon.
Yeah.
For
I
sure.
actually got to go to last year and went to Kelly Tarleton's. It was great. Really enjoyed that. And that's so great. You got to do the turtle release with them.
Yeah, it was awesome. Such a highlight.
What
No.
beautiful footage too, Brie. That stunning footage that you had there. It was so clear. I wish my GoPro was that clear.
Yeah, I did steal it from my sister.
I do love the Indigenous connection that you guys have a lot too. I mean, we obviously recognize when we're on site at Sea Life Aquarium, you know, our Wurundjeri people that are down there is definitely, you know, we acknowledge them, but we don't have a lot of it immersed into our conservation community in Victoria. And it's something that we would really, really like to achieve. I work at Zoos Victoria as well, and there's a lot of it within their programs. But within, the sustainability community, it's not as big, I guess. So we were hoping to have a bit more of it throughout the program. But I know in New Zealand, it's fully immersed throughout your education and schooling as well. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, for the most part. I think we're trying to work on incorporating it a bit more. But yeah.
Definitely. And I know up around Byron, Justine, there's a lot of work around it as well. Down here on Phillip Island too, being on Bunurong country, but everyone's sitting on different country at the moment. So it's very difficult to acknowledge.
And there's always more we can do, I guess.
Exactly. And especially this week, I know I was watching the footy last night, Indigenous round on the football, there's a lot of talk around Indigenous and free the flag and things like that at the moment. So there's always more work to be done.
Yeah.
I can't believe that. I can't believe that it's owned by a single company.
Wham.
It shouldn't be.
It's terrible.
Terrible. And I think it's just conversations need to happen.
Yeah. The awareness builds the change. Really.
Exactly. All right. It's 10:38. T, do you want to do a quick intro? I'll just be 2 seconds.
Just write down in the chat below if you are back so we can make sure everyone is back and ready to go. Just say hi or here or whatever down below in the chat box. Beautiful. 1, 2, 3, 4. And Elliot, I can see you're there, so you're good. All right, we're ready to go. So welcome back, Ocean Youthers. If you did leave, if you didn't, you might have enjoyed our little chat. Next up is Justine from Two in the Sun. Now, the way that we found this company is that Peter and I were looking through different social media accounts, trying to find different artists or designers or people who make products that whose companies are really ingrained in reusable products or sustainability. We also wanted to look at small businesses rather than big global businesses because, of course, change can start from something really, really small and small ideas, and just 1 or 2 people can start the change and start a business or start a product, make that difference. So we'll hand you over to Justine.
Thanks, Justine.
Hi, thanks for having me. And again, girls, Brie, Phoebe, that was really inspiring, impressive. Thank you. So I created my jewelry brand. I started a few years ago, and it came from a love of the ocean is in my heart. I grew up in a small coastal town in New South Wales. I grew up on the beach, and I was lucky that my family sort of showed me from a young age how important it was to pick up rubbish. My eldest sister and I used to walk along the beach from when I was about 6 and pick up all the rubbish off the beach on a very secluded beach where you wouldn't expect there to be rubbish, but we would fill bags, and this was 15, 20 years ago. So, from a very early age, it was shown to me how important it is that we look after the ocean. So I began my journey into creativity by I went to design school and studied in interior design. So I was more looking at sustainability and building houses. And over the course of the years, I moved more into creating things with my hands. And actually for me, jewelry was more of a hobby. It's just something I loved to do. I loved to make jewelry and give it to my friends and family for Christmas and things like that. And it wasn't until a bit later in my life that I got the opportunity to start selling it. I'd finished up working and was actually traveling around Australia at the time, seeing some beautiful places. And I began making a few pieces and selling them at the markets. And then thought, okay, I can turn this into a business. And from the very start, I made it a priority to include donations back to an ocean conservation organisation. The one who I have been with from the very beginning is Positive Change for Marine Life. They're based here in Byron Bay, and they do some really beautiful work. They do a lot of beach cleans and surveying the types of rubbish that's coming up to be able to figure out where it's coming from, and doing a monthly surveys, as well as eliminating things from cafes and restaurants around our area. So they've had a Don't Be a Sucker campaign, and they've gotten rid of most plastic straws. They've gotten a lot more reusable cups and things going around the town. They've created a no butts anywhere they've got little receptacles for people that smoke to put their butts in. They've done a lot of work around our community, as well as in India, they're working to reduce single-use plastic. So there's big problems, as we all know, all around the world. So it's an international problem. So I really like their positive approach to creating lasting change. So donations to them was something I built into my business from the very beginning. And it's a little different to what you girls are doing. It's jewelry. It's not directly linked to, it's not a product that's exactly creating, reducing plastic use or anything along those lines. But it is, so I specialize in, did a lot of research, internet research, and calling around, speaking to people, finding the most sustainable material options. So that's something that you can look at if you're creating a product. So for jewelry, for example, we have the option of recycled metals. So a lot of people might not know that. And a lot of metals are mined, which creates pretty horrible environmental impact. And actually silver can be recycled an infinite number of times. It just needs to be melted back down and made into something again. So for me, there was no question as to why would you use new if you can recycle and have that as your main product, and the quality's exactly the same. So that's something that's a big focus of my business, is using as much recycled material as possible. So there's always room for improvement, and it's an ongoing journey. So I'm always still researching, there's always small components in the business that can be improved. So it's like you guys said, it's a never ending journey. You have to keep going and develop your ideas all the time, and keep moving as technology changes and things change. And when you're looking at a product, there's other things that come into it as well. So you've got to think about your packaging, for example. Like I use all recycled paper and card packaging, which I think is really important as well, because you don't want to have the jewelry then going into a box that's lined in synthetic or something that's going to end up polluting the ocean. It's a pointless exercise if that's going to happen. So yeah, from the actual packaging to the business cards to even the post bags that post out, our postal systems have plastic bags that they try to recommend we use. And it's about also opening the conversation with those people and saying, no, I'd prefer to use my own packaging, and this is why, and letting people know in an approachable, friendly manner, no, we're choosing to use this and we'd prefer not to have to use plastic at all. So yeah, there's a lot of ways that we can all do a little more always. So many different aspects of what we do in a business. I also like to use my platform to keep my customers and those following me on social media engaged in the conversation around ocean conservation, as well as, you know, the entire planet conservation. But yeah, ocean is a big focus for Two in the Sun. I've even gone ahead and created specific products. So I've made a little pendant. I'll grab it here so you can see. Sorry, my presentation isn't as organized as the girls. I don't have a show, but yeah, it's probably a little hard to see, but this one's a little wave that I made, and it's called Make Waves. The idea being that it's a conversation starter. So people can buy that. $5 from that goes directly to Positive Change for Marine Life. And then the idea of it being called Make Waves is that the wearer can open that conversation with other people, and it's to make waves of change for the planet. So having a way to open up the conversation with something that you're wearing is quite nice. You see it with shirts, you know, there might be a slogan or something on there that can open a conversation, and that's a really great way to naturally go into a conversation with someone. And so yeah, did you girls have particular questions you wanted to ask me?
Maybe a couple. That's all right. No, that's great. I want that necklace, but it's beautiful. I just love the thought around it. Like we were saying to the girls earlier, like, yes, you can donate to a charity, and you do to Positive Change for Marine Life, which is amazing. And they are an amazing organization working internationally. But it's also about the conversation. Like you said, creating a t-shirt with a slogan, creating a necklace called, you know, pretty much making a change, straight up there, making waves. It goes to show that can be just as important and can be a step in supporting sustainability and ocean protection into the future. So I guess my question is, Justine, is primarily you are selling, when you are doing this, when you are selling and using your business, is it primarily an online model, or have you got a premise? Or
so it's mostly online, but I also do local markets in the area. So that's a really great way to have face-to-face conversation with people as well. But yeah, so it's online. I stock a few shops, but it's mostly, it's online. And well, markets, obviously the last 6 months there haven't been markets, so it's all online now.
It's all online at the moment, but normally, and I bought mine in a market, just saying, guys, but no, it was at Byron. But it's really good to think about these things, because if you are thinking, guys, of developing maybe a product or, you know, a business for your project or into the future, you might just have a concept that you think is amazing. These are the things that you need to consider. And I'm sure Justine had to consider the costs and the overheads of having a premise, the environmental footprint as well, when thinking about then doing markets instead.
Yeah, exactly. And it's a much easier way to ease in. It's a lot less of an overhead than to, you know, open a shop and be paying a huge amount of rent on that. Whereas the market stall fee is usually quite small, and it's a really great way to get your product out to the public. And you can have your website there, you can have your business cards, you know, people will follow up and find you online, and you still get to meet people. And often people travel from markets, like, you know, when markets have been happening in the past here, we get people from Victoria, New Zealand, everywhere coming to Byron Bay. So the product can spread, and the conversation can spread, the ideas can spread. It's a really good way.
Yeah, definitely. Sorry. And I also think it's an audience choice as well. A lot of the people that are stepping foot in a market can be different to the people that may be stepping foot into a business or a shop. You've got a lot of environmentally, you know, conscious minded people that are shopping at markets.
That's very true.
Yeah, without even realizing, I think you can make those decisions and control that thought pattern, like the girl said earlier with number 2, you know, building the relationships with the people you're actually interested in having involved in your product.
Exactly.
So having that audience is great too. My other question, and I'm sure T has some as well, where do you source most of your materials from? Is it hard to find recycled and, you know, older metals to reuse and repurpose?
It's actually amazing. Silver, when you look into it, we do have a really great source. There's a company in Sydney who I'm happy to share with anyone who's interested. They they do 100% recycled silver. So everything they do. So they collect all the silver back from, so people like me, for example, I have offcuts over here actually, all the stuff that I make that's not, it's all the sort of, all the bits and pieces. So that's all the odds and ends. So I can melt those back down myself. I have the means to do so, but some people don't. And all those pieces get sent back to the company down in Sydney, and they melt the silver down and then sell it back to you in form of wire and all the pieces that you need to use to make. So we're really lucky that we have such a great resource here in Australia. I do try to get as much as possible more locally, just because of the lower emissions as well. Yeah, like I said, there's always still room to go. I'm always still trying to develop. Some of the chains I get come from Italy and the US, and I just haven't been able to find a source here. And you know, I'm constantly still doing the research, because it's, and maybe someone out there wants to business doing metal chains.
You guys, there's a project for you.
There's a project.
Try and source this environmentally sustainable metal chains. It is hard because we are getting better, but these things didn't exist. And I'm thinking, even with a few of you guys, especially in Melbourne, you may have had to buy masks recently. And it's cool to, you know, make them yourself and things, but trying to find maybe recycled plastic that's created into a material. The actual source is very, very hard to find at the moment. So it's great that there is some people doing that in Australia.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And the more push for it there is, the more those companies grow. I think that's the biggest thing.
Yeah. As a consumer.
The more that we all ask and, you know, put pressure on for what we perceive as what we need, then that's how we get bigger change in those bigger companies.
Here's my next question, T. I'm cutting over you. I'm sorry. How do you make your amazing pieces? Like, is it a lot? Do you need a lot of workshop space? Do you have a lot of things that you need to be in the process of it?
You'd be amazed. My workshop's tiny. It's about 3 meters by 3 meters. So you can do a lot in a very small space. I was going to be there today, but there was another one of the workers in there was doing something, so I couldn't. Otherwise I would have shown you guys around. But I work from a shared space, so there's a warehouse with about 8 people in there, just with a small space each to do their different things that they're making. So yeah, you can do a lot in a small space, and you don't have to. I really started very small and grassroots. You don't have to go, you know, big from the start. You just, so you can build up, you know, and you can do things. You can do a lot with a small space. Obviously that doesn't go for everything, but jewelry is quite small, and people do assume you need, you know, a big space and lots of overheads, but you can do it small. And actually it keeps your impact low as well by doing that. Your environmental footprint, by keeping things small and local and small batch production, is actually really great.
Yeah, I was going to say that as another way to reduce your footprint and have a more sustainable product as well, is to work in those shared spaces. And we have quite a lot of them in Melbourne, if anyone is wondering. There is quite a few shared spaces down around, actually around Melbourne Aquarium, that people work out of as well. Fantastic.
Great way, as well as having other people to bounce ideas off and talk things through and feel inspired by. Like I know Bree and Phoebe were saying, connect with like-minded people. It's so important. And you might have a day where you sort of feel like you're questioning what you're doing, or it's not feeling as supported, and just having a chat with someone like-minded can be all that you need to keep you going.
Exactly. Any questions, T, from your side?
So did you have any challenges approaching the suppliers that you work with to source your materials? Was there anything you found difficult in either contacting them, or obviously finding something sustainable would have been a bit difficult, but any other kind of like challenges with sourcing?
Yeah, it can be tricky starting out. Some people can have, you know, very large minimum order quantities, so that's a bit hard. So you've got, you know, but being personal with someone, calling them and speaking on the phone and creating a connection with them and explaining where you're coming from, and And, you know, as you said, presenting yourself as, you know, you might be small, but you can still present yourself as professional with an idea to grow. And yeah, you will find that most companies, unless some will just flat out not work with a small beginner company.
Yeah.
But I've been pretty lucky in that most of the ones I've found, it has taken a bit of research. There's a lot to sift through on the internet. You do need a bit of time, but also doing the personalized contact, so emailing and talking back and forth, does lay down a bit more of a foundation for a relationship, as opposed to just an email that's, you know, you've got to chat a little bit more personally and get to know the people. It's definitely a good to dig a little deeper, because there's often not a lot of information just on someone's website. You might want to chat more and find out, where's that coming from? Can you give me a background? Where do you guys source that? And yeah.
Mm-hmm. It's really interesting. We actually had one of the guys from the AMCS the other week, and it's just saying, you know, how you can always do better. Do you guys might remember how Sasha said that they hosted that First Up Sustainable Cooking big success story with the big chef from Attica, and they ended up using non-sustainable fish without realizing, because it wasn't labeled properly. And he said you can always learn from your mistakes and do better. And I think when you start out, you know, right at the beginning, like Justine said, it can be hard to source something that's 100% sustainable that might come under, you know, your budget and things like that. But you do as good as you can, and then you do better, and you keep going as things progress as well. So
and you asked the question, like I bought some chains that I needed from the US, and they sent them to me in an incredible amount of plastic packaging. I was absolutely blown away. So I emailed them straight away with photos and told them that it was just unnecessary, that there were other ways that they could do it, that I know of other suppliers who do things differently, and they responded quite well to that. So I think also not being afraid to put across your thoughts, because, and you can feel crushed. You think, oh my gosh, I'm doing everything I can to avoid plastic, and I've just been sent all this plastic, and it can feel very, you know, very frustrating. But that's where you have the opportunity to create change. And some of those bigger companies, if you can get them to create change, it's really great.
Exactly. And like you girls, Phoebe and Bree said from Kaitiaki, really presenting yourself as your brand. So straight away, you know, Justina's gone back to that company and gone, well, this is what I stand for, and here's some great ideas of what you guys could do as well.
Yeah, exactly.
We've got a question, don't we?
Yeah, so Tess has asked, how did you start selling your products and start your business, and how could I do the same?
Where did you start?
Sounds like Tess is a bit interested in creating a product as well.
Cool, Tess, that's exciting. I said go for it. So I began with markets was my biggest one. I was actually, as I mentioned, had been traveling around Australia and was in Western Australia in Margaret River at the time. So that's where I first began doing markets, and that's a really fantastic way to get your products out to the public and have a bit of, it's an ease into it, and for people to see what you're doing, and you get that face-to-face feedback and can chat about what you're creating. I did also build my own website through a template online. The website took me a little bit longer to get going. You know, you've got to build up your audience. So I think it's a good idea to begin with a social media presence before you launch, so you can start building a bit of an audience, talking about the things you might be going to make, or things based around the idea or the conservation, things that will inspire people to follow you, and then you can direct them to your website when it's available.
Amazing. And I think that really, I mean, all of you guys have said social media being a free platform is a really good way to start out as well, and making sure you build your brand. And markets, I mean, I just went and grabbed this, guys. I was up in Queensland a few years ago. All my family's up in Noosa, and they've got the amazing Yamundi markets up there. But I was actually at a little market at the school down the road in Coolum, and I found this amazing brand. I don't know, you guys have probably seen it online, called Sea Straws. And they create glass straws, and this one's their glass drink bottle. And I now buy this product for all of my family and friends for Christmas. Every time I go up to reduce my footprint, I bring it all back with me rather than getting it sent down, you know, by plane or by mail. And it's just something that I found at a market. And now they have this amazing online presence and a proper website. But a couple of years ago, that was all they had. And I swear by their product. So
exactly. There's a great products out there at the markets, and it's a very good place, for you to get your things out to a wider audience.
And as Justine said, it can take a lot of time once you put your head online you get so far and so deep in that sometimes it can feel overwhelming, whereas you just go and see these products in person and you can see what people are doing. I can't imagine a better place to start out than Margaret River, Justine.
Yeah, I was pretty lucky.
It's a good area.
Beautiful. Wow. Amazing over there.
Is there any other campaigning that you do, or just websites, marketing and social media? Is that all you really need?
They're my strongest ones. I concentrate on social media, website. I mean, I do photo shoots obviously with people or with the jewelry, so I do a lot myself, and I started out by just doing my own. If you can get crafty with a camera, take your own photos. You can often find people who might want to, if you need someone to wear something, and you can often find someone who you could just do a bit of a trade with rather than having to pay a whole lot of money to do a big professional photo shoot. There's lots of ways that you can just begin easily. And so but by doing that and also partnering up with people via social media, so other people who might connect with your values and also take nice photos, they can do some for you and post them on their Instagram, share. That cross-promotional side of things is really great as well.
So again, being part of that community of like-minded people with the same idea as you. It's just amazing what you guys at Kaitiaki and Justine, what you've been able to do just from an idea and then develop it not only into a profitable business, which is amazing, but also a business that stands for sustainability and supports that as well. I think is just the best combination that you could possibly have. And obviously living the life you wanted to live, being able to support what you've loved from being 6 years old and being able to produce something that you love and other people enjoy wearing. I think that's just amazing.
And we can all do it. We all have the opportunity. You know, I didn't imagine that this would be where I would be 4 years ago. I didn't know that I was able to do this, but it's amazing what you can do. And if you have the inspiration and if you keep true to your beliefs, you will have success.
Amazing. And I want to thank you, all three of you, for your time this morning. Phoebe and Bri, all the way from New Zealand. Sorry we stole you from lockdown in Auckland. And Justine, stealing you from the lovely Byron Bay, where you're not on a level 4 lockdown. So
I'm sorry.
Thank you so much for sharing your time and your inspirations this morning, guys, your ideas, and just those little thoughts that you might miss when you're thinking about starting a product or a business. Like you said, Justine, from the start, you wanted to add a bit of money on top of the price so that you could support a business. That's something you stood for, and it's continued throughout. And it's a way that, you know, if you guys wanted to start a product, you could support a charity that already exists. So thank you for your time. Tiana, I think we're going to wrap it up there.
Yes, definitely. Once again, as Peter said, thank you so much. Presentations were great, and I'm sure the kids are feeling a bit inspired. I know Tess is now. I am. I am, yeah. I want to go make jewelry now.
Do you like my pots I painted? Guys, no, I'm joking.
Oh,
there's so much inspiration out there. So after this, I am going to send out an email with links to Jazzy Tattoo in the Sun and links to Kaitiaki as well, so Phoebe and Bri can support them. Do you guys send your cups to Australia?
Haven't yet, but we could definitely work on that.
We could look into some sustainable way to get them over here. Surely there's someone that's got to come across. We might just bulk order them for all of our crew. We'll see how we go. As for your projects, guys, we will be talking about it more over the next couple of weeks. Do not feel pressured. It's just an idea. We just want to see what ideas you guys have, and maybe one day they can grow into something like Kaitiaki or Two in the Sun. But for now, just sit back, think it over, mull it over, and if you've got any questions, you can email us on that new email address. What is it, Tiana?
oceanyouthmelb@outlook.com.
That's it. We've changed over. You guys should all have the email in your inbox, and I will put it on our Facebook group chat as well. But until next week, Saturday morning next week, we have a couple of other amazing business owners coming on board to talk to us about their sustainable practices. But we might leave it there. Thank you, Justine. Thank you, Phoebe.
Thank you for having us. Good on all you guys. You go and get it. You're amazing. I'm really impressed.
And we'll come visit you when we're in Byron next time, and Auckland for you girls.
Yes.
Perfect. Thank you for this morning, everyone. We will talk to you all soon.
Thank you,
everyone.
Bye.
Thank you.